Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. Real talk, big opinions, and fearless conversations. From the front lines of politics to the latest in pop culture. From breaking sports headlines to the stories that move the world. Nothing's off limits, and nobody's holding back. Arrington Gavin is here to break it down, build it up, and keep it all the way real. So turn it up, lean in, and let's get into it. This is the Arrington Gavin Show.
Hey, family. What's happening? Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show, your go-to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day, whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, or the latest buzz. Look, we're diving deep and keeping it real, so please do me a favor, kick back, stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. Look, my friends, on today's conversation, I'm honored to have on Miss Suzanne Richmond. She is the Democratic candidate for Virginia Beach Commonwealth Attorney, a position that is a pretty important position locally. And you know how big I am about local officials as well as local politics, because time and time again, I come across folks that are like, oh, snap. Wait, we have an election? Oh, snap. Wait, Commonwealth Attorney? What's that? And we all focus so much on the federal side, but you have to realize, y'all, what happens in Washington, guess what? That eventually trickles down on the state level and it trickles down on a local level. So it's very important to have an understanding of your what goes on in your backyard. So again, I'm thrilled to have Miss Richmond on. We're gonna have a conversation, just, discussing her campaign, her, why she is running for this position, because it is a position that has really, the current incumbent has not had a candidate, y'all, I want to say in like 12 years. 12 years, there's been nobody to brave enough to say, hey, look, I want to try and unseat this current Commonwealth Attorney. And so while he's seeking a fourth term, he has a challenger, which is important, y'all, because you have to, I say time and time again, we have got to keep our elected officials accountable. Now, obviously, when you have a candidate that comes up, it's for a reason. It's for, hey, look, there's an issue happening in my home city, and I don't see anybody else stepping up. Well, I know I have what it takes to step up to the plate. So that's why I'm very thrilled to have Miss Richmond on. I've followed her on her social media platform. She has been very involved in the city of Virginia Beach. Again, just a little history lesson to my listeners outside of the state of Virginia. Virginia Beach is by far one of the biggest premier cities in the state of Virginia. It is the largest city population-wise. I believe they're a little over 500,000 people. I want to say maybe like 500,000 some change, which is a large number. Second to them is my home city, Chesapeake. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Shout out to Chesapeake. Yep. And while there's nobody, I hear crickets. Shame on you all. Chesapeake is a nice city. But anyway, y'all, no, Virginia Beach has a lot of rich history. They're known for their oceanfront. They're known for their entertainment. They're known for so many other. They're known for the folks that are coming out of Virginia Beach, like, music great Pharrell Williams. And that's just one person. There's so many others. So again, Virginia Beach is a big city here in the state of Virginia. So again, we're gonna talk about the issues that are happening right now, and again, reasons why Miss Suzanne Richmond is planning on becoming the next Commonwealth Attorney for Virginia Beach. So, as always, my friends, thank you so much for taking 1 hour of your time to tune into the Arrington Gavin Show. For those who happen to be streaming us right now on our YouTube channel, please do me a favor, like, subscribe. We truly appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. And please, leave us a comment. I truly appreciate it. Look, if there's something that y'all disagree with me, hey, put in the comment. I'm all for a civil discourse. That's another thing that I always folks always say, man, when somebody lays a bad comment, like, what do you say? I'm like, thank you for watching, because it's helping me regardless. But I do appreciate the disagreements, because at the end of the day, look, I'm a person, I respect others' opinions. I don't expect, we all should not always agree on everything. That's not how you grow as a society. We're all going to have difference of opinions and things. So my thing is, hey, look, there's always going to be a right and a wrong. Let's just be honest. There's always going to be a right and a wrong. But in addition to streaming us on YouTube, you can also stream us You can stream past episodes of the Arrington Gavin Show on Goatverse TV. If you have not downloaded the app yet, please do so. It's available on the App Store, Google Play Store, Roku, as well as Amazon Fire TV. Now, if you want to just listen to us on the go, you can do so by listening to us on wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Apple, Odyssey, iHeart. We're available on all major podcast platforms. And lastly, you can also listen to us on the radio airwaves. Shout out to our two affiliates, radio affiliates. You probably listen to us right now in New Orleans by way of WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about. You can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Again, that's only on WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about. And then we're going to move it on to the Metro Atlanta area to WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk. That's right. You can tune to the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's only on WDJY 99.1 FM. Okay, now that I got that taken care of, y'all, a new thing we started doing here on the show is a fun fact about our guests. So, regularly I'll do either a random fun fact, just in general. If there's a day we don't have a guest, I'll do a random fun fact, or we just started a new segment called what is this role and why is it important? And that's me explaining a local role. Well, basically it's explaining political positions, the meaning behind that position and why is it important. So we started off from the local level all the way up to the national level. Now with this new segment we're doing where we share a fun fact about our guests, I want to share a cool fun fact about our guest, Suzanne Richmond. So she is a true lover of fashion. Okay, all fashion, new, historic. She is a true lover of fashion. And I mean, look, I think of myself as, kind of like a fashion icon. My wife thinks otherwise. She's like, you thought, but really, I think I'm pretty, I think I dress cool, right, guys? I'm starting to be in I'm a young old man, right? So I'm just 30, but I'm starting to be addicted to like Adidas sweatsuits and like tracksuits. I'm like, oh God, it's already starting. Like, I love to dress comfortable, but seriously, I love fashion. Gotta stay coordinated, right? Gotta make sure the colors contrast good and all that good stuff. And it's funny because I would say in the household, I think I have the better fashion. Now, my wife would say you're absolutely not. But I mean, look, we always like to, make sure we leave the house, dressed pretty sharp, because at the end of the day, I look at it like this, y'all. Look, I'm a business owner. My appearance is a part of my brand. If I'm dressing kind of ick, how can people even approach me, right? They're like, I don't know if I can trust this guy. Look at how he's dressed. So I try to make sure that I can dress pretty superb. But yeah, that's a fun fact about Suzanne. So she loves fashion, and I love that. I love that. I love folks that are just look, especially like historic fashion, because if you haven't noticed, there's almost like a age of spin, like a recycling thing going on, where fashion that was popular, say like in the 90s or even like the 80s, they come back in parts, right? I was just thinking of the late great actress Diane Keaton. Oh, who doesn't love Diane Keaton? Let me tell you something. Something's got to give. Father of the Bride. What else are some great ones? Oh, I'm blanking. There was a film she did with Queen Latifah, and it was Katie Holmes. It was Money something. I think it was Dirty Money. It was something Money. But she has done so many. Oh, The Godfather. How can I not forget The Godfather? She has done amazing films. But one thing that was also interesting about Miss Keaton is that her fashion was always on point. That's right. You heard the snaps right there. Don't judge me. She was a fashion icon, y'all. And so it's sad that we heard the recent news of her passing. But she was a true icon in the world of fashion. So look, my friends, we got a great conversation in store for you all. So thank you all for tuning with us here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks. You are listening to the Arrington Gavin Show.
Every man has a story to tell. Your ambitions, your achievements, your legacy. Your suit should reflect that story, crafted precisely, designed for impact, and tailored exclusively for you. We work with only the finest fabrics, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends from world-renowned mills in Italy, the UK, and India. These fabrics are the foundation of custom suits that exude elegance and stand the test of time. But a suit isn't just about fabric, it's about fit and it's about confidence, and it all starts with you. When you work with me, you'll receive a personalized consultation, whether in person or over Zoom. Together, we'll explore your vision and discuss your needs. And we're gonna bring your ideas to life. My journey as a designer includes apprenticing under New York-based designer Clavon Leonard, showcasing collections at New York Fashion Week, Algeria Fashion Week, and the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. That experience is what we bring to every suit we create, from weddings to corporate events and everything in between. We specialize in crafting one-of-a-kind suits for life's most significant moments. Dapper Luke has been recognized as one of Baltimore's best menswear in 2023, and I was honored to be one of the 10 designers selected for the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. With over 900 satisfied clients, we proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore, bringing world-class designs to these incredible communities. We don't just make suits, we craft confidence. Your suit will fit your body, your style, and it will tell your story. Book your free online personal consultation today. Visit www.dapperluke.com.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to
And we still in traffic.
I don't look familiar, do I? Not in this seat.
Hey, what's that you listening to?
Here to host today.
Hey, turn it up.
With me?
Yeah, this that new Goat Verse app. I got you.
So y'all want to know where the goats are? They're off on the sidelines.
Looking for fresh, relevant content wherever you go?
What was the name of that he said?
Introducing GoatVerse TV,
Goat Verse, that's what it's called.
the free streaming app that brings you the best podcasts, current events, and thought-provoking opinions all in one place. Download it now from the Apple Store or Play Store. In Goats, we trust.
Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Order our scented beard oils and beard balms to help you maintain and grow the perfect beard. Order today. Try our men's care products like the full body exfoliating cleansing bars, body wash, smooth stash, and more. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. We're your luxury but affordable men's care line. And remember,
Rugged is the new smooth.
All right, my friends, welcome back to the Arrington Gavin Show. I am your friend, your homie, Arrington Gavin. And look, I'm honored to have on special guests on today's program. Miss Suzanne Richmond. She is the Democratic candidate for Virginia Beach Commonwealth Attorney. Let me go ahead and bring her on. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come here on the show for a great conversation. I know you have been extremely busy. First of all, it's election season. It's a busy climate right now, not just in Virginia Beach, but just really in the state of Virginia, in the Hampton Roads area. So I know I appreciate you taking the time and coming here on the program to share more of your platform. Absolutely. Now, Suzanne, if you don't mind, before we get going with our conversation, do you mind sharing the folks just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Okay, so my name's Suzanne Richmond. I am a lifelong resident of Virginia Beach, and we're right. Virginia Beach is a little bit over 500,000 residents. We are the biggest city in Virginia. I was born and raised here. I went to Kempsville High School. I'm a product of Virginia Beach Public Schools. After high school, I went to Virginia Tech. Then I worked for a few years, and I came back here, and I went to Regent for law school. I was a law clerk after law school. Then I was a prosecutor in Norfolk for about 5 years. I took 2 years off because I had kids. Then I was a public defender, and I did court-appointed work in both state court and federal court for 5 to 6 years. And then I was an assistant attorney general for 2.5 years, and I handled criminal appeals on behalf of the Commonwealth. I'm a mom. That's probably my number one identity is I'm the mom to 3 little boys. As you know, I had a football game earlier tonight, so I wear a lot of different hats. And right now I'm campaigning full time, and it's been busy, but good. And I forget the exact wording of that quote, but when you fall in love with the journey and you don't focus so much on the destination, it's been cool. I've just met so many people and had really good conversations, and just I started asking people, what are things that you're concerned about in your community? And so it's been good. I'm just busy. But
Oh,
busy
I'm
good.
in my mind. I'm like, wow. So running for office in probably the highest position, really in law enforcement in your city, which again covers a lot of grounds, and on top of that, she's the mother of 3 boys. Like, let's just put that out there, y'all. Being a mom is not easy. Okay, so let's please put that out there. And multitasking everything all at once. So I mean, hats go off to you. I want to ask Suzanne again, just to continue to get to know more about you. Was law, was that, or being, practicing law or being an attorney, was that always a dream of yours, from a younger age? Was that something later in life that you say, hey, look, I think I want to decide to pursue this?
It's been something I've always wanted to do. I didn't, kind of like running for office, I didn't know that it was possible for me always. But my father was a federal prosecutor. He retired from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Norfolk. And I remember being a little girl, and I was probably in 2nd grade, and I was playing dress up. And somebody had given me a pair of old heels. And at the time, my dad was in a really big trial, but it was the weekend. And I went downstairs and I said, Daddy, when I grow up, I'm going to be a prosecutor like you, and I'm going to prosecute this motorcycle gang. And it was kind of then that I guess I spoke it into being. And it was hard. I mean, you have to take the LSAT, the LSAT, and apply to law schools. I got into Regent, and I actually lived with my parents when I went to law school. And I went to law school to be a prosecutor. That is what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to practice criminal law, and I always admired my dad and the way he carried out his work. He is a very honest person, and his sense of fairness and doing the right thing, playing by the rules, that's been instilled in me from both my parents from an early age. And so it's cool to be, if I had been told as a little girl that one day I would be a candidate for Commonwealth's attorney, I probably would have been like, well, 1, I don't know what that is. And 2,
so oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Susan. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, it's something I've always wanted to do, and it's cool to be following through on that and living my dream.
That's awesome. Was there any advice that your dad provided for you while you were taking this journey on law school? And then also I want to ask actually, I'll come back to my second question, but first question, did he provide any, advice, or was he like, you sure you want to do this kind of thing? Like, how most parents are, especially when you do the same line of work, they're always like, I did this to provide for you, but I don't know if you want to live this life. Like, was there any hesitancy, or was there just solid, like, you got this, here's my advice I would love to give for you?
Yeah. At first I did get that reaction from both my parents. Are you sure you want to do this? And it's, education's expensive and taking out student loans. And I think they weren't sure if I was really going to follow through with it. And then I did, and I was like, I'm doing it. And when I started, when I came home and moved in, and at first I worked during the day, and then I went to law school at night. And I think that was when my parents really saw, like, oh, she's in it, like, she's doing it. And I was just, I didn't have time to really like goof around because I worked 9 to 5. Then I went to class from 6 to 10. And I would read when I got home. So I was putting in long hours, and that's when I think my parents saw that I was committed and I was in it for the long run. And they encouraged me. They always cheered me on. And so yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
No, it did. Now, okay, so fast forward to, you've done your schooling, you're a practicing attorney, you're a prosecutor, and you've had a career that has spanned, might I ask how many years have you been?
About 18.
18 years. Awesome. Now, where did the mindset come, where the idea said, hey, look, I think I want to make this leap of faith in my career and make a run for the Commonwealth seat here in Virginia Beach? Because again, I mentioned earlier in the show, this current incumbent, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name, Colin Stolley. He has been in that role for 12 years. I mean, he's been a repeat guy, never had an opponent, really. So why now? Why personally, would you say, hey, look, I have what it takes. I have the resume. I have the back end. I can do this. Because seriously, a lot of folks would for one say, I always ask this to a lot of my guests, especially those that are new into the kind of the local, the political space, because this is your first time running for an official position. One, I always ask, like, why the hell politics? Like, why get involved, right? But also, I want to ask too, just where did that passion, where did all of a sudden that passion came to say, I want to make a run?
So I love politics. It is my sport. And that's one thing my boys, we joke with each other, because I'll say, well, you love football, but like politics is my football. Like if I had a fantasy politics team, dude, I would crush it. And they're like, Mom, that's not funny. So I follow politics. I love politics. I watch congressional hearings for fun.
But I do too. It's okay. I do it too. C-SPAN. Hello. No,
I love political theater. Sorry. Again, I didn't think it was possible for me to run for office because I very much am a middle class, average American. My parents were both public servants. I don't come from money. And my parents were not political. They were active in their community, but they didn't go to political meetings or get involved in politics. So for those, it seemed to me that to run for office for so long, it was like, well, you gotta have money. I don't. I mean, I'm a single mom, just working, but I think we need to change that as a society. And more everyday Americans who do everyday life need to run for office, because I get it. I get what it's like trying to be everything to everybody, get the boys where they need to be, who needs lunch, who doesn't eat that, who does eat that, and just a million Post-it notes in my head. But I think it was January, February, and just watching what was unfolding on a national level, I said to one of my friends, I'm not going to look at my kids and my grandkids and have them ask me, how did you let this happen? And say I didn't do anything. I love being a lawyer. I love being a prosecutor. It's my favorite job as a lawyer. And I'm a native of Virginia Beach. And so this is something I can do and I want to do. And I'm looking forward to just kind of changing the dynamics in Virginia Beach politics.
I couldn't agree more on that, because as far as having, I wouldn't say ordinary, but just having folks that voters can relate to. I think that's always like the biggest thing, where I talk a lot with my friends in politics, strategists, and those that are elected officials, and we discussed the frustration about voting turnout, but I'm like, okay, what are elected officials, what is society showing to them that's bringing them? Obviously we see what's happening in our political climate. I mean, we're in Virginia, we're in the Hampton Roads area. Majority federal workers. We're near a lot of, we see it firsthand. But also, it's like, yeah, every time we come across a politician, somebody is getting some millions somewhere, because I'm looking at these, these donor lists, and I'm just like, hold up, this is a lot of money here for a local race. So, I mean, just head scratcher there, head scratcher. But I look at it as if everyday folks, if residents will witness folks that are coming from their neighborhoods, coming from their backyards, they're like, that can continue to pursue and push those that say, okay, look, this is a big deal. This is important. They're speaking my language finally, because like, what is this, person of high wealth know about hard times for me? And so, I mean, that's just what I hear around in different circles when I do go to different groups in different neighborhoods, just speaking with them and things like that. So I totally agree on that point. Now, I forgot to mention that with you running as Commonwealth Attorney, if you win this race, you will be the first women Commonwealth Attorney, I believe, in the city of Virginia Beach. Am I correct on that one?
Right. I'm the first female candidate for Commonwealth Attorney in the city of Virginia Beach, and
Wow.
I would be the first woman elected to be Commonwealth Attorney for Virginia Beach.
So then I asked the question, again, like, why do you, well, for one, why do you think that you have the, I don't want to say the capability, but why do you think that you are a big challenge for this current incumbent, again, who's never faced anyone during his career, which, I mean, could say, hey, just folks didn't think to bother, because again, I discussed kind of how local politics is not everybody is so involved in local politics and having that understanding, but also to saying, hey, look, maybe this guy's been reelected so many times, I don't know if I have what it takes. Like, I know you mentioned is just when you see the issues happening, but like, why do you think for you, like, hey, look, I know I have what it takes to enter this race. I am highly qualified to challenge this individual who has been in office for far too long.
So, I mean, it's a few things. I think one of the things that actually really shoved me along in the journey to my campaign is I was talking to another lawyer, and I said, just kind of talking with friends, I'm thinking about running for Commonwealth's Attorney. And they said, well, Colin's already picked the next Commonwealth's Attorney. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't work that way. And a lot of people don't know that they elect a prosecutor. And the way it's been handled in Virginia Beach is the Commonwealth's Attorney will essentially anoint someone to be their next in line. They allow that person to stay on and keep working, keep collecting a paycheck. And then they will step down midterm, and that person would take over and then run for re-election, which is what Colin did in 2013 when Harvey Bryant retired midterm. Colin took over, and that was the only time he's ever had a challenger, is Greg Turpin. I'm really tired of I think Virginia Beach is very behind in terms of both gender equality and racial equality. And I've heard it my whole life that, oh, that's Virginia Beach. It's an old boys network. That's Virginia Beach. I'm tired of it. I want to bust it up. And I'm tired of people getting preferential treatment based on their last name, what zip code they live in, who they know, because truly under the law, everybody should be treated equally. And women attorneys, we still feel that misogynistic attitude in the courthouse. That courthouse is very, very male dominated. And Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, it lacks diversity. And I think there's been a breakdown in the relationship between the office and the community. And for the judicial system to work effectively, there has to be some level of trust between law enforcement and the community. I don't believe that exists right now. And I think if somebody stays in power for too long and they go unchecked, they basically start to become complacent. And I think the people of Virginia Beach deserve someone who's not just mailing it in.
Mm.
One of my favorite quotes is the Theodore Roosevelt quote, "The man in the arena." And I'm in the arena. I mean, I'm out there, I'm meeting people, I'm talking to people in court. I will personally try high profile cases. I want people in the city to know who I am. If they see me, I will hold myself accountable to them. And I don't think power should be consolidated into one small group like that.
Mhm.
Because, like what you said earlier, that's not how we evolve as a
Yeah.
society. So those are kind of some of the reasons why I'm running.
Yeah, no, I hear a lot in conversation just with folks that I know in Virginia Beach. And again, hey, living in Chesapeake, you're our neighbors. You're right. You're right there. It's like I always tell my audience, Chesapeake, regardless of what city you're in, I mean, Hampton Roads is pretty connected. Like you kind of know what's happening in other cities, and I always hear that that notion of Virginia Beach lacks diversity when it comes to the higher ups. It's the good old boy kind of work. I mean, we see now in Virginia Beach, not trying to kind of get off topic, but one of the big things that is around the city signs you see vote 10-1 or the voting system, and it's just like,
Mhm.
okay, the 10-1 was a push up to a lot of folks, and I've spoken with folks on both sides of the aisle that agrees with the 10-1. Then I hear some folks that agree with the 7-3-1. I actually had a while back, I've had Councilwoman Jennifer Rouse, who's a good friend of mine, on. I've also had Councilman Cass Green, who's another good friend of mine, who's on, and they're both on the opposing side, and hearing from each side of the why they're siding with this and X, Y, and Z. So it's like when I hear this, I'm like, wow, what is happening in Virginia Beach? But I want to get going. I want to discuss the crime in Virginia Beach. A lot of folks assume that Virginia Beach is a extremely safe city, just like most cities. But like most cities, hey, they have their crime. And as a kid growing up in Hampton Roads, I remember it used to be fun to go to the oceanfront, right? The oceanfront is probably one of the most it is the tourist destination that is one of the biggest profit hubs for the city of Virginia Beach is the oceanfront. And for some reason, I think during my college years, the oceanfront started changing, man. It started getting it was like crime, this X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I don't feel safe really going to the oceanfront. I don't want to, I don't want to go to the oceanfront. And I had lost a good friend of mine, Donovan Lynch. That was a publicized case out there. And, it was a big deal. And again, that kind of added on to, I don't know if I really want to go. I rarely go to the oceanfront. It's not the fact that I'm in Chesapeake, as Virginia Beach. It's just like, I don't know. It's always something happening. What else, Susan, is that is happening in Virginia Beach that most folks that probably are unaware of, that is a huge hindrance, and especially when it comes to safety in the city of Virginia Beach?
Sure. I'm sorry that I didn't know that Donovan Lynch was a friend of yours, and that is an unfortunate. That story still gives me goosebumps and chills up my spine. And I think that's another example of the breakdown in the relationship between law enforcement and the community. As I understand it, and I've read the articles and everything, he was an unarmed Black man who was shot. His back was faced towards the police. And that just didn't have to happen. I think you're right. There's something that's off. And Pharrell, after that happened, said that's why he doesn't come to Virginia Beach that much anymore, is because I don't know what.
It was like he used the word toxic, like it's a toxic environment or a toxic relationship within the city.
And Virginia Beach has a gun problem. A lot of people are in denial about it. And this happened. I was door knocking and I randomly knocked on a business owner's door. He didn't know who I was. I didn't know who he was. But I told him who I am and that I was running to be Commonwealth's attorney. And we started talking, and he told me that he owns a business at the oceanfront. And did I think there was a gun problem? And I said, yes, that's my number one platform, is I want to reduce gun violence in the city.
Mm.
And he said that a lot of business owners at the oceanfront, they wear bulletproof vests to work because the gun violence is so bad. And he described a shooting that happened in his parking lot. It was caught on camera. And by the time the case actually got to trial, the prosecutor who tried it was like the third or fourth prosecutor, was a new lawyer, inexperienced, didn't know what they were doing. And the man was found not guilty.
Wow.
Then the defendant turned around and sued him for a high sum because he was alleging that his parking lot was not safe and that the business owner was negligent for allowing this to happen in the parking lot. So that's one example of a story that I've heard. And the other thing is, there was an article maybe in June about like a big gun bust down at the oceanfront. And then come to find out, what had happened is those guys just threw their guns down and they were behind a bush, and then they took off running. So the police department just walked in to a pile of firearms. They didn't take guns off a person. The guys knew they were caught and threw their guns down and took off. The number of shootings that's happening in the city, and I also think the city tries to cover it because they don't want people to, like you said, tourism is a huge industry for Virginia Beach. So they want people to think that, oh, it's a safe city. And for the most part, Virginia Beach is a safe city. But the gun problem is bad. And the shootings that have happened, I mean, there are shootings throughout the city at the oceanfront. There was one that happened in Kempsville, which is where I grew up. There's one in Bayside. My oldest son goes to school in Virginia Beach. Well, all my kids go to Virginia Beach public schools. But there was an officer-involved shooting that happened across the street from my son's school. And this was in June. And I got the text message that no parent ever wants to get, that their school's on lockdown. There's been an emergency. And as it turns out, somebody had pulled a gun on a police officer, and there was an officer-involved shooting.
Wow.
So we have an excellent school system, and everybody was okay. But when my son got home, I asked him, and I said, like, I read about this, and I didn't want to scare him, but I was also curious kind of how that played out. And he said, well, we have these big walls and they come down, and, the school goes on lockdown. And I asked him, I said, oh, were you scared? And he said, no, I mean, we do active shooter drills. So like, we knew what to do. And it's just that whole way, it was like a nonchalant, like, I got this, Mom. And I just am like, you're still a little boy.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to worry about that. You should worry about doing boy things.
Well, that's always the sad thing. I think, Susan, is we live in a society where, school shootings, sometimes folks don't even shrug their shoulders. You know what I mean? It's sickens me to say it, but sometimes it's almost like a norm topic that we see in our news cycle, and it's like it's extremely sad, and that exists. And when you speak with like your son, I mean, hey, he has a response like, we're good, yeah, we do the drill, stuff like that. I mean, it's a lot. Now I want to ask, because you say Virginia Beach has a gun issue now. So then I asked, okay, how do you fix that problem? Especially, say, if you were in the role of Virginia Beach Commonwealth Attorney, How do you fix that issue in the city?
So my plan for that is a couple different ways. First, we need experienced prosecutors to try those cases. Gun cases are not easy cases to try, and you need an experienced prosecutor who knows what they're doing, knows what they have to prove to try those cases. So, and also to hold repeat offenders accountable. I know there are progressive prosecutors in the area, and Ramin's a friend of mine. I have
Ramin Fadahi. Yep.
Yeah.
Friend of the show as well. Yep.
I have a ton of respect for him, and he works so hard, and he's so smart and a great lawyer. And crime is down. Violent crime's down in Norfolk. I am more of a moderate Democrat, and I plan to enforce mandatory minimums. I think that's up to the General Assembly to change if they decide to do that. I will say, sorry, I'm kind of getting a little sidetracked.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But I do plan to enforce mandatory minimums. I say that, and then I also add that the only type of case right now, I mean, every case has to be assessed on its own merits, but if for some reason the dynamics shift in Virginia to the extreme right and abortion is criminalized, I will not prosecute a woman for having an abortion that would have been legal under Roe v. Wade, or a healthcare provider for providing it if it would have been legal under Roe. So that's a black and white thing for me. And if that became criminal in Virginia, I would actively move to dismiss those cases. Otherwise, I plan to enforce mandatory minimums. I also think prosecuting misdemeanor gun cases is important, and the guns that are confiscated need to be forfeited and destroyed. We shouldn't be giving people back their guns. I also think we need to get to youth earlier. And part of that is I want to be present in the community. I want to partner with Virginia Beach Public Schools and get into schools and get to know kids and stop. I don't want them to necessarily be afraid of law enforcement. And it has to be age appropriate, but just encouraging them to make good decisions and think about what they're doing. So that's another thing. And I think partnering more with nonprofit organizations is helpful in just building, like focusing on mental health and making sure resources get designated to that. Because I think when people are desperate or, both poverty and mental health, when people are desperate, they make desperate decisions. And so this is like what Ramin has done in Norfolk, is if we can get to the root cause of crime, which one of the causes is poverty, violent crime goes down. And so, but it takes a collaborative effort to do that.
So in a sense, would that be a part of your strategy on, I would say, building that trust factor between the community and the justice system? Because I feel as though like the justice system alone always gets a bad rep, because I mean, how many times we hear, where's the justice? Where's the justice? And so is that some of your priorities of building that trust factor with the community and the justice system?
Yeah. I think, I'm a proponent of getting people what they need to become healthy and be their best self. So whether that's drug treatment, mental health treatment, what does that person need to show up as their best self? And I think there's different kinds of crime. So violent crime is in a different category, but larcenies and other crimes, I say you can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can go hard on violent crime, but if somebody is stealing something, like, let's look at that case. If they have never been convicted of a felony before, what does that person need to be successful? The other thing I really want to do in Virginia Beach is I want to get a veterans treatment docket up and running. In 2019, the Virginia Supreme Court authorized that as a specialty docket. And Colin has never gotten it up and running. He used to have on his website that he was going to start a veterans treatment docket, but he never did. So I want to change that, and I want to get that up and running. And we have one of the largest populations of veterans in the country. And you were right earlier, Virginia Beach is in a unique place. I mean, we're super close to right on the Atlantic Ocean, where Norfolk has one of the biggest Navy bases in the country. We're also, the whole coast of Virginia is, and then close to DC. So we have an important piece of real estate here, and I want to take care of it and the people who live here.
Absolutely. Susan, I want to ask you the question.
Right, it's Suzanne.
Suzanne, I'm sorry. I apologize, Suzanne.
No,
I apologize.
okay.
I hope I wasn't saying that, Susan. I think that was. I hope I wasn't saying that throughout this whole show. I apologize if I was.
Okay.
How do you plan on addressing concerns around like racial disparities and fair treatment in prosecutions for the city of Virginia Beach?
Well, to start, I don't think that it should matter if you've paid $5,000 for a retained attorney or you have a public defender. Everybody should be getting the same type of break. So your lawyer doesn't determine what kind of plea agreement you get. I also don't think, in terms of plea agreements, I don't like a black and white or blanket policy. Again, I think each case needs to be assessed on its own merits and look at that case and see, does this person have a prior record? What were the facts of the case? What were they charged with? And again, the only time that I would see things black and white is in the abortion issue. That is something I see as black and white. In terms of plea agreements, I mean, I think one of Colin's policies is that he has his prosecutors always ask for jail time in gun cases. I don't necessarily agree with that. I do think they should be forfeiting the guns, and the guns should be destroyed just to get guns off the street and make sure they don't go back into the hands of the person who got charged with them. I think if I've seen it before where somebody's a veteran and they come back and they have their unique issues. I mean, they've seen combat, or maybe they have brain damage. And they've served their country. Maybe they'll be like 35, 40. They've never been charged with anything in their life. And then one day something triggers them and they have the worst day of their life. Depending on what happened in that situation, I don't think that person automatically should have a felony conviction. So I also think part of it is having prosecutors who have empathy. And
you look, when you just started talking, when sharing that, in my mind, the word that came to my head was empathy. Empathy.
I mean, I see all things now that I'm a mother. I cannot unsee things through the lens of a mother. And regardless of who the person is, what they've done, I'm a person of faith, and I believe that all human beings are created in the image of God. And for that reason, and that reason alone, they're worthy of dignity and respect. And I think, depending on what happened, can dictate what kind of agreement they get or what kind of offer they get. I also think giving prosecutors leeway in how they handle their cases is important, and to do what they think is fair. I'm not saying that they would have justification to just go drop charges without a reason, but I think the two biggest things for me would be I need to be able to trust the people that work for me. And two, I don't ever want them to lie to me. And if they can tell me why they did, what the reason was, and I'll stand by them. I'll back them up. And I when I first started as a prosecutor, the Commonwealth's attorney in Norfolk, that was his policy is these are your cases and you do what you think is fair. And because he trusted the people that worked for him. So that's one thing that I will, that I plan to do. And also I think just talking with public defenders, I see both sides. I have experience both as a prosecutor and as a public defender. And being a public defender really opened my eyes to a lot of things and unique struggles that people have. And not everybody had a middle-class life. I mean, some people every 6 months, they might have been moving or they have a hard time getting mental health treatment. They have a hard time getting addiction treatment. And again, when people are desperate, they make desperate decisions. And so
there's always a root. There's always a root of the cause for something. And it's like, why ignore the root and go straight into like, wait, hold up, they did this, so you gotta go. It's like, wait a minute, how do you continue to, I guess prevent the problem? And I hear exactly what you're saying in regards to, hey, look, we got to hear their about their story. We just especially if they're first offense. This is a question that just came off the top of the dome, Suzanne. So, and this might be kind of corny. So I am a avid Law and Order SVU watcher. Okay. And like I said, this is probably very corny to ask, but like, how do you, is the Commonwealth Attorney's office, are they kind of in like unison with the police department, or both the sheriff's office and the police department?
So I can't speak for whether they are right now, but I will say they should be. And I think Virginia Beach Police, we have a good police department. They work really hard. And I feel badly that they lost those 2 officers in February. And that goes to my point that we have a gun problem, because if somebody feels enabled to pull a gun on a police officer, which it happened in February and then it happened in June, you're putting police officers on defense. I mean, so it's just not good. And prosecutors and police officers should be working hand in hand. I also think we would need to work closely with the sheriff. I think Rocky Holcomb is doing a great job in Virginia Beach, and he agrees with a lot of that about getting to the root cause of why people are doing what they're doing. The Virginia Beach jail's overcrowded. It's by I think 500 inmates.
Wow.
I don't know the exact numbers. Rocky can tell you off the top of his head. But I support work release for nonviolent felons and home electronic monitoring when it's appropriate. So those are things I think we need to get to, and working with the sheriff, we can accomplish those. Also, mental health treatment and making sure people get the treatment they need. And Rocky actually has a special section in the jail for veterans. So again, trying to meet people where they are and get them back to being the best version of themselves. And police, we need to work together with them. We need to support police. Police officers in Virginia, that's where we get our cases. And they're the front line of law enforcement. And so that's just absolutely necessary to have a good working relationship with the police.
I'm looking at my time, Suzanne. I want to ask just two more questions. What has been, because this is your first time running for office, I've seen some of your social media clips where you're like, hey, look, I'm new, I'm a new candidate here, I'm new at this. But like, what's some of your biggest learning moments, or at least what has been a challenge during this campaign for you, or have you had any challenges?
You don't know what you don't know, and that was something somebody told me when I was a young prosecutor is you don't know what you don't know, and it's hard to find. I think politicians in general are busy, which is good, but finding somebody who can lay it out for you, and things are unpredictable. It's fluid, and they happen really quickly. So even if you think you've got it figured out, sometimes somebody throws a wrench in it, and it's like, oh man, I thought I had that. But I think I have a lot of grit, and any kind of trial or hard thing I've ever done in my life, I'm a resilient person. And that's how a pearl is developed in an oyster. It's like the sand and the dirt rubbing against it, and this stone becomes a pearl because they've had to deal with so much grit. And so I have grit. I'm not afraid. I'm in the arena, and I'm doing the best I can. One thing that has been interesting to me is just visiting and spending time in parts of Virginia Beach that I never have really spent much time in before. And just the people I'm meeting, and it's been cool, but also kind of weird. Like, I went to the gas station and somebody came out and they were like, oh, Miss Suzanne, I saw you. You came to my church this past Sunday. And it startled me, but it was also like, that's cool. Like, I like that. And I want to carry that forward.
Absolutely. Last question, because I'm looking at my time here. What does justice mean to you personally, and how would that translate into your leadership style?
So I think justice is blind. And that's why on my seal, it's kind of a mashup of Lady Justice and a mermaid, like the Neptune King. I'm also an artist, and I actually came up with that design myself, a graphic design.
Wow.
Polished it and made it look really pretty, but I drew it myself. I think justice is blind, and then also you have to have scales. It needs to be fair. And then with the sword, prosecutors, our calling is higher. We do not serve a political party. We do not serve a certain person or a certain part of the community. We are elected to work for everyone. And that is something that I've tried to make very clear, is that from day one, I will work for every single person in Virginia Beach. Not a political party, not a family, not the mayor. I will work for the people of Virginia Beach. And there's a famous Supreme Court case. And in the case, just with everything that's been going on in the U.S. Attorney's offices, especially in the Eastern District of Virginia, in the Supreme Court case, they say while a prosecutor may strike hard blows, they are not permitted to strike foul ones. And so, yes, you can prosecute zealously and go after a violent crime, but what you can't do is bring charges that there's no evidence to back. And wow. I admire the courage of the assistant U.S. attorneys and the U.S. attorneys who have resigned, saying, no, I took an oath that I was going to follow the Constitution, and I don't believe that there's evidence to show this crime. So sorry, I feel like I'm talking.
Oh no, you're fine. I was gonna say, because I have to close, but I want to again thank you so much for you taking the time out your busy schedule. How can folks, residents of the city of Virginia Beach, know more about your platform, and how we have listeners outside the state of Virginia? How can they get in touch with you, and hey, possibly want to contribute to your campaign?
That would be great, because I am a grassroots candidate, and anything anybody can do to get me over the finish line would be awesome. My website is www.suzanne, SUZANNE 4FORVB.com. And you can send messages to me through my website. You can also, there's a link to donate. And that's one thing, I had no idea how expensive campaigns were. So if anybody's able to help, I would really appreciate that. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, Suzanne for VB. And thank you so much. I've enjoyed so much talking to you, and it's hard to believe it's already been an hour. Thanks for listening.
All the time. Look, don't go anywhere. I would like to chop it up with you just for a couple minutes after the show. But again, Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck to you on your campaign.
Thank you.
All right, my friends. Well, look, as always, I hope you enjoyed another great conversation here on the show. I will see you all next time for another great combo. Look, stay blessed, stay safe out there. Make sure you go out there and vote. Vote, vote, vote. I'm out.